Good morning, everyone. It's Wednesday. Normally, this would be hump day, but we only have a 4-day week this week, so I'm not sure how to classify that. That's just the way my brain works. Anyway, it's Wednesday morning, and the country still has a lot of cloud cover, and probably the fairest weather is in New England and out west, although parts of the northern plains are starting to settle down, and the central plains, too. We had a lot of rain over the last 5 days. I emptied my rain gauge yesterday morning for the second time, and the total for that about 5-day period was 8.25 inches, and it rained again yesterday afternoon. I haven't had a chance to go out and check it again. It wasn't that much, but it probably is approaching 9 inches over that period. Anyway, so the severe weather is still confined to this area down here, and we'll talk a little bit more about that today. Let's take a look at the morning radar loop here, and I have superimposed that with today's SPC Severe Storm Prediction Center outlook. So the areas in yellow are the greatest concern today. So patches in Texas and a pretty good chunk of northwest Oklahoma up through Kansas and encompassing much of eastern Colorado. You can see the morning storms moving through San Antonio, along coastal areas of Texas, basically all the way down to Corpus Christi, really. Some showers and some thunderstorms down there. Meanwhile, more harmless showers going on here underneath that upper level system. Let's switch and see what the HRRR simulated radar looks like to see where all the stuff is going. The coastal stuff in Texas continues to move out into the Gulf, and then we have low pressure kind of developing in this area, although weakly, and we get thunderstorms erupting in Kansas and Panhandle region of Oklahoma. The only thing that would give those a tornadic signature would be the fact that we do have a little bit of deepening low pressure there. And I wouldn't say deepening, I'd say existent low pressure. And notice, though, that a nice little high starts to build in here back through the central plains, kind of drying things out a little bit. Let's take a closer look at today's severe weather outlook. So 2 out of 5 chance in this area in yellow here, patches all over the place, kind of chaotic because the thunderstorms are laying down all kinds of interesting boundaries. And there's weak little subtle weather systems in the upper atmosphere that are triggering a lot of this. So kind of a hodgepodge, really. Might be easier just to draw that all as a 2. But anyway, here's the tornado outlook. Again, shifting to that same area, 5% chance. They tucked away around Dodge City there and in the areas 100 miles surrounding that. And some smaller areas of tornado risk in central Texas, basically mirroring the 2 out of 5 chance, the slight chance that I just showed you. On Nadocast, if you want to go look at the products for this, it's called Nadocast, but it also has machine-learned probabilities for hail and for wind, too. The link is in the description, but it does show that maximum 5% area there, in about the same area. I said Dodge, right about there, but a little bit maybe southwest of there. A pretty confined area, and it's also indicating a very small signal there in extreme eastern North Carolina. We'll look at SIPs and the severe weather probability for today. It matches pretty much with what the outlooks are indicating for this area today. Maybe a smattering of chances of severe storms, 10% out in South Carolina, parts of Georgia, but it's not a very impressive outlook. CSU agrees with the tornado bullseye, but does not increase it to a higher percentage than 5. That's also where the large hail, the monster hail, could be occurring today, and the wind. So it's all confined to that little kind of 4, almost 5 corner state area there: New Mexico, Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, and Colorado. If we go ahead to Thursday, a long area of possible severe weather, lowest risk possible from New Mexico all the way through the heart of Texas, maybe getting as far north as Memphis on Thursday, and also all the way over to the coastal regions of Georgia, including Jacksonville, Florida, too, and maybe all the way down to Orlando. Looking at Colorado State's analysis of that, the tornado probabilities are very, very low. Interestingly enough, it always wants to put tornado probabilities where I wouldn't expect them. I'm not sure what to make of that Arkansas little blip right there, when most of the activity is certainly expected on Thursday down through Texas and, again, maybe coastal areas of Georgia and northeast Florida. Then on Friday, the SPC did pull a 2 a slight risk there from Raleigh, almost getting into Charlotte and through the heart of South Carolina, with a lower risk from South Texas all the way up surrounding that, all the way up to Richmond, Virginia. CSU does agree with that pretty much. And then we start going into, that's Friday. Saturday, things really calm down. In fact, there's nothing programmed or looked at for the Saturday on CSU at all. Sunday, barely anything showing up, but it is showing signs of patterns changing. And then on Monday, finally, we start lighting up the high plains with some severe weather risks. And then 7 days from now, Tuesday, same, except a little bit expanded. I'm noticing that there's going to be a pretty good return flow here of high moisture values and a favorable jet stream, and we'll show that here in a minute. Let's go to NIU's severe supercell composite outlook. So a supercell is basically a thunderstorm that is long-lived, where its own downdraft doesn't choke off the updraft and it survives. So it has strong updrafts. That implies good hail production. This thunderstorm lasts longer, which means it could produce tornadic elements, although this does not forecast that. This just says supercell. Tornadoes are a little more subtle. And also high wind probabilities too with these. So May 28th through June 3rd, still looking at Texas. And the proper way to look at this is see if this matches the last 7 days I just showed you, because that's what this is. And it matches up pretty well. Then we go a little bit more into the future here, week 2. This is this expansion I'm talking about, going north now with the supercell probabilities into northwest Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, and Nebraska. And then it gets really carried away and starts to shift to climatological normals as we go into the mid part of June, week 3, up into Canada, really, and way up in Montana, the Dakotas, and maybe a secondary area there in West Texas. So I'm going to take a look at the weekly means for the EPS. This is an ensemble run by the European model, and the period is May 26th through June 1st. So we're going to go from basically now till about Sunday. And what it's showing is the 500 millibar flow, so the upper level winds are basically flowing along these lines. And when you see this red color, that means it's abnormally high. That means these are going up like this in a way that it kind of clashes with what is considered normal. So anomaly means how far away from what we expect to see is it. And then these blue colors here are the opposites, where these lines are dipping down. When you see a ridge out west, that generally kills severe weather in the Great Plains. You might get some in Texas still, and that was reflected in the outlooks. And then this not only is a severe thunderstorm killer, but it's a cool air pattern all throughout here. We don't really talk about temperature here, but we could. This is an abnormally cool pattern that is reflected in all forecasts. Dew points are equally below mean, so if it's brown color, means we're seeing dew points that through that 7-day period are going to be below what you would expect this time of year. And dew points are moisture values that are fuel for severe thunderstorms. So if you don't have that, it implies a couple things. First of all, that you're not going to get really unstable air. It also implies that the Gulf, which is our main supply in the Great Plains, at least for higher moisture levels, is cut off for this area and shunted. So it's being sent into New Mexico. But that will change. Let's take a look at the next week, June 2nd through June 8th. Then the pattern actually reverses a little bit. It's a little more subtle, but you would expect these anomaly colors to not be as intense because there's more uncertainty as you go out into the future. But it does show finally a trough out west again. So that encourages severe weather here, although the way I'm looking at this, it encourages it more here. And that explains that progress of the severe weather threat, supercell threat, up into this area and eventually up into this area. And then dew points reverse through that same period, June 2nd through June 8th. We get a little bit above normal on the moisture here down through Mexico and through parts of the southwest. I hope some of that does actually translate to moisture, because some of the driest areas in the country are right in here right now. But that's the severe weather wrap up for today. I'll be doing a weather to watch later this afternoon. We'll talk about the tropics a little bit. Some signs that some June activity could be occurring, especially in the Pacific, and a little bit more about this cool air and when it will wear off. See you in the next video. Thanks for watching today's edition of Severe Thunderstorm Outlooks. This is published every day after the morning Storm Prediction Center update. Also, remember to check that site off on day 1 because they update it fairly frequently. If you like this video, please like it. Also, you can subscribe to the channel for more content just like this.